Now, I know I told you that this was coming and I made you wait till the very end to see it, but I have a feeling that you're going to feel like this was worth the wait. Okay. So, what you're looking at right here is Lance Twiggs TikTok. Okay. This is Tyler Robinson's lover. And I found something today that I had never noticed before. And it is going to really make you go, what? And it's right there in front of everyone. So check this out. All right, Jesse on Fire. Part 4 of our Charlie Kirk is Alive series. And I am excited for this one because guess what? I just found something myself. Doing standard prep for this video, putting my things in order, ducks in a row, as it were. And I stumbled on something that I am going to lead off with because it is rare. It is rare when you put things together on the spot like I just did, but that's what we're going to do. Now, real quick, before we get into it, though, if you have not watched part 1, 2, and 3, I would suggest that you do them in order. However, there's going to be some fascinating, incredible information in this episode for sure. But in the format that I laid it out, it is intentional. I didn't mean to forget my disclaimer. In any of the videos, this one included, I am not making any statements of fact whatsoever. Now, in that episode, we showed experts demonstrating exactly how effects that would be identical to what we saw that day are done, like movie magic. These are actual Hollywood movie special effects people demonstrating how a thing like that is done. And then we take what we saw in those and we compare it to things that we saw there, hoses, different things like that. They're identical. And guess what? After I did the episode, someone was looking through the set of images that I took to demonstrate that Charlie's side of his face and neck, where he was shot, seemed to be wildly swollen versus the other side, like potentially a prosthetic was used. And they went and looked at that same picture set and found something that I had missed. Look at this, okay? This is from one of the images, okay? This is where they are carrying Charlie. And if you look there, okay, does that look like blood? First of all, not really. Looks pretty weird, okay? There's blood right there, like on his arm, but none on their hands. None on their hands, okay? But right there. Why would that be right there and not on the hands? And then look at this. See that right there? What does that look like to you guys? Just a random string? Or do you think that might be a hose? Potentially, you know? Potentially could be a hose. That looks like a hose that has fake blood on it to me, okay? So again, the playlist is called The Manufactured Martyr. It's the top playlist. There will be a link to it in the description. So, you know, whether you watch this one first or those or whatever, but definitely go watch those other episodes because you are definitely going to want to see them. Now, what we're going to be covering today in episode 4, you're going to be going through some fascinating stuff. Number 1, we are going to be looking at the shocking development that I found today around Charlie Kirk's burial, okay? So we knew that there was this weird thing about where's Charlie buried? And Erika had to go on TV. She's like, I'm not talking about this. Can I just have this one thing? But I went back and looked at that. We're going to start right there because there's a big wow there. Then we're going to get into the official story. Now we are going to be getting into a little bit of cash, not fully yet, but we're going to be looking at Tyler Robinson, Lance Twiggs, and the overarching picture that is painted here and how unlikely some of this stuff is. If you're enjoying this series, I give you my absolute word, you are not going to want to miss any of this, okay? So let's rock and roll. By the way, if you guys do not mind subscribing to the channel, I would love for this video to be the thing that kicks me over 600,000 subscribers. That is a big milestone. Every time you hit 100K, you know, like the next one, it's a big deal. 600 feels a lot different than 500. But I appreciate you guys very much. And if you guys would like this video as well, make this, you know, chase down that 20% like ratio, I would be extremely grateful. Thank you guys for all of the support. Let's do this thing. Okay, so check this out. Okay, so we're going to do that later. But that's where we're going later. Okay, so check this out. The dates on these are very important. Okay, so Erika Kirk addresses conspiracy theories about husband Charlie Kirk's death and burial. So this was on December 10th. Okay, so December 10th, she is going around and she is now talking about where he's buried. And she's saying, can I have this one thing? Can my children have one thing? Everything about Charlie's death is public. Can we just have this one thing? And then she says, we will be building the most beautiful memorial for my husband at Turning Point, and it will be for the world to see, and it will be spectacular. Now, I remember that being extremely weird at the time, where I was like, why are a gigantic memorial? And I said the same thing that I always say. I'm like, this is her husband. Like, if it were me or anyone else I've ever known, the things they would be talking about would be the things that they miss about them that no one else knew. The little weird idiosyncrasies that only a spouse knows about their spouse. You know, the fact that they always left their toothbrush out, whatever. And then like little things like that. You'd walk in there and it'd be like, oh my God, his toothbrush not out. Little things that were only between you guys are what would be hitting the heart. So I always just found this whole entire stuff, like this is weird, the way that she talked about it. But here's what I found, okay? So where this actually came from, okay? The reason that this became a focus is because of this right here, okay? So Milo Yiannopoulos went on to Tim Pool's show, okay, on December 5th, okay? Well, or this aired on December 5th, okay? You can see that right there, December 5th, okay? Now, what came out of that episode was the following, okay? This is the clip right here taken from that episode. This one was posted on the 6th, but the actual episode was on the 5th. This is a clip taken from the episode that was posted on the 5th, and the date is very important, okay? So let's watch this together. Oh, I'm sorry, some context. They right now are talking about Candace Owens and her investigation into the Charlie Kirk case. Tim, this is when Tim was going on his tirade. This is right around where he was calling her the C word, all of that stuff, okay? So let's go ahead and rock and roll.
For lawyers to share offices with government departments.
She did not vet
for the security,
that the planes at the airports actually loaded up cars and went to that building. She made that up.
You're not going to hear from me that she's got everything right. I'm not here to say that.
Endless
clearly,
bullshit.
Clearly that's not the case. But first of all, I believe that she is motivated by a sincere desire to find out what happened to Charlie Kirk. Second,
agree.
We don't know. We still don't know because they are telling untruths about it. I know for a fact, for an absolute fact, that Charlie has not been buried yet. I know for an absolute, incontrovertible fact, he's not.
And this is December 6th, which, you know, listen, I might need a refresher in counting to 1, 2, 3, but that's 3 months after he got murdered. 3 months. Does that sound normal? Has not been buried yet? He hasn't been buried yet. What? But how does that make sense? Okay. More to come. And again, this is December 6th, but the actual thing happened on, well, it got posted on December 5th. Okay. I don't know when they recorded it. It could have been 3rd, 4th, but the 5th is when it actually went up. Very important. Okay. Let's let him finish his thought though, because this is definitely true according to him. And does he seem like he's lying?
Why? When there's no good reason for it. I know for a fact. I'm going to tell you. You know that my faith is sincere. I hope. Right? You know that I. Thanks for leaving that. Thanks for leaving the silence there. No, you. I hope that you understand that I'm a sincere person. I swear on my Lord boy I lost. I swear, cat not person, but you know, I swear on God, on the Blessed Mother. I swear on Jesus Christ. I know for an incontrovertible fact that Charlie has not been buried yet. There's no good reason for that. None whatsoever, unless some trickery is afoot. Because, and they're telling people, oh, it's because we're planning to build a giant mausoleum. Well, you put together the biggest political event in the last 100 years in 3 days. Where's the mausoleum, girl? Sorry, no. I know for a fact he has not been.
So that's weird. That's weird. What do? They're like, just put his body on ice. Let's just keep him nice and frozen, you know? And we'll tend to that, you know, whenever. Like, just whenever. You know, we'll tend to that whenever. And to his point, they literally did the biggest event in human history. That's a bit hyperbolic. They put on a absolutely enormous event 11 days after, but 3 months later, they still haven't buried the body. I think he has some other things to say, but just put that in your brain bank and ask yourself if that lines up with my hypothesis.
Buried. He has not been buried. Okay. Why? Because people are asking them. They're saying, I want to go pay my respects to Charlie Kirk. I can go visit Nietzsche. I can visit Karl Marx. Why can't I visit Charlie Kirk? Where is he buried? Where is his gravestone? And you better have a damn good reason why he's not buried yet.
Do you have a theory?
And I genuinely mean it when I say that I would appreciate and I would prefer it if you were the face of skepticism towards Turning Point USA.
Yeah, but nobody else is doing it. She's the only one. So how dare anybody give her a shit for this? Like,
and here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, right? Why am I the first person to start putting this together? Has anybody been asking themselves that? Like, as I've been going through this, it's unbelievable because here's the thing also. After this episode, this is going to be the last episode before I start leaning heavily into looking at other people's stuff, other creators who are really smart, smarter than me in many cases, just not when it comes to people, but in every other scenario, smarter than me. And I'm looking at them and I'm watching their content and I'm going, it is right in front of you. Like what they are all talking about in almost every case is literally just like smashing a hammer into my hypothesis. It's like, this is correct, because I'm watching them lay out all of these inconsistencies, which is the basis of investigations. Why does this not make sense? And in every case, all you have to do is insert my hypothesis and it makes sense. Almost every single time. As a matter of fact, I can't think of an example where that does not fit the bill. It always solves the problem. Now, this thing that I'm going to show you right now came out of nowhere. I don't know if I don't know what I'm looking at, to be honest. Okay. I honestly don't. I don't think that I'm actually implying that Tim Pool is a part of the larger, Charlie fake it whole thing. But this is very, very, very bizarre. Okay. So Milo's episode goes up on December 5th. And he says for the first time to the world that Charlie, for absolute sure, has not been buried yet 3 months after the assassination. Okay. It's the kind of thing that you might want to distract people from in the event that you want to keep this secret, right? Like that's the kind of thing where if you were like, oh my gosh, we did not realize that anyone knew this, and someone just put that out on a gigantic podcast, might want to distract. Do you guys remember when this happened? Tim Pool's shooting at his place last night. A vehicle approached our property and opened fire. No one was hurt. Our security team is reviewing the incident and will be relaying a report to appropriate law enforcement. December 6th. The next day, right there, after that happened. And then when you actually got into it, remember, it just felt weird and everyone was like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Okay. And then fast forward after it had already been out of the news cycle after a week, and he refused to give the sheriffs his security footage. Okay. And I mean, again, this is coming from the police. Look, spokesperson for the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office said that, quote, reports of shots fired at this residence cannot be substantiated this time, adding that Pool has refused to release security footage recorded the night of the alleged shooting. That's pretty weird. And certainly did an amazing job of distracting from the Tim Pool episode where Milo screamed out into the ether in front of everyone that Charlie Kirk had not been buried yet. I found that very weird. Very weird. Now, let me show you something else when we get into the dates, okay? So remember when Erika Kirk went on her secondary media tour, right? Where she, now she's different, right? The first time she is, I forgive him. And everyone's like, oh my God, that's powerful. I mean, listen, when I read about it, because at the time obviously, when I read about it, I was like, man, she is a much better person than me. Like just genuinely, I was inspired by that. Beautifully written by whoever thought of that. And then when I saw her deliver it was just like everything else where I'm thinking to myself, I feel very uncomfortable. I can't really explain why, but I feel so uncomfortable watching this. And then her secondary media tour where she's a different person now. And now she's upset and she's serious and she's grieving, but she's mad. She is angry about what's going on. And that started when? What would you guys guess? When do you think she started that media tour? Let's see. 12/10. 5 days. 5 days after Milo, I guess inconveniently let the world know that she had not buried Charlie. Charlie's body not buried yet. And if you guys recall, what did she want to talk about? I can't remember. Let's see.
This part of the conspiracies that are out there, this disturbing part that people are trying to guess where Charlie is.
Can I have one thing? Can I have one thing? Can my children have one thing? Everything was public. We will be building the most beautiful memorial for my husband at Turning Point USA, and it will be for the world to see, and it will be spectacular, and it will have basically museum style for our Charlie, for my Charlie. But can I have one thing? Can my babies have one thing where we hold it sacred, where my husband is laid to rest, where I don't have to be worried about some secular revolutionary coming and destroying my husband's grave while my daughter is sitting there praying? One thing. This is my husband. Yes, he was Charlie Kirk to the world, and I know so many people love my husband, and I am grateful for that. But this is my husband, and I want to be able to have one thing left that is sacred to our family, to my in-laws, to my babies, and to my parents.
Do you want to know what she didn't say? She didn't say that he's buried somewhere else. Didn't say that. Sounded like she did, but she didn't. She didn't say that. She said she's building a memorial. She said, can I have this one thing? And nowhere in that entire thing did she say that he's buried somewhere else. Because Milo said, I know for an incontrovertible fact that he is not buried anywhere else. And she did not dispute his claim at all. Okay. And here, this was, this is the end of it. So look, so literally inside of less than a week. And I'm not even sure if that Fox one that happened on the 10th is the first one. But let's say it was. Within 5 days of that airing, you have Tim Pool has this mysterious shooting happen, which swallows the news cycle and no one finds out about the fact that Charlie wasn't buried. And then PR geniuses over here who clearly do not want that to be known go on to a nationally televised show and bring attention to it. That's the only reason I even, halfway knew about it. And that was the story about his house getting shot up. So bottom line is, just to wrap that portion of this video up, is do you think that's a little bit suspicious? Given I assume you guys have watched episode 1, 2, and 3 by now, and to kick off episode 4, I don't know, what does that do for you? Seems pretty suspect to me. Now, speaking of suspect, do you guys remember this whole incident? Okay, where Candace had this conversation about Brian Harpole and his security detail and the information that he shared on the Sean Ryan show, where he was talking about their process by which they prepared for events. Okay, and he was talking about how they prepared for the Utah Valley University event and why there was no drones, all that stuff. It's not really super relevant how they did the preparation, but he was very clear that they have a very strong and very consistent checklist and how they would interact with the people whose events they were coming to secure. So listen to this. Well, we moved it over to X. Now listen to this.
Well, interestingly enough, I received a tip from someone that was directly involved with the planning of an event that Charlie Kirk was supposed to attend the following day, on September 11th, the day after his assassination. Charlie was slated to speak in Woodland Park, Colorado, at the Charis Bible College. Okay, so that's in Woodland Park, Colorado. He was slated to speak there. And according to this person, after Charlie got assassinated, there was a bit of a panicked meeting that took place, which was headed by the chief of police. They decided to transform this event into a vigil, and they were panicked because, believe it or not, they had absolutely no security plan in place. They thought, how odd. We don't have a security plan in place. Now we better consider this, and we need to make sure that we have police officer involvement. Why didn't Dan Flood and Brian Harpole and Turning Point USA's security have any coordination with the police department up in Colorado? If this is what they normally do, and whatever the way he over describes that, and they get the plan, and everybody can access and start to begin to speak, and then we speak to the police. I mean, we do all this stuff. We just didn't think to do that for the event that he had the next day. No police officer involvement scheduled, nothing. Suddenly they're panicked because they realize they don't have anything scheduled. Yeah. So
you're saying that the guy who was carrying Charlie in this photo right here with the hose hanging off didn't have a security plan for the following day? Like, almost like he knew that they wouldn't be there and might have been overwhelmed with planning for this day, since this seemed like a pretty heavy lift given what was forthcoming, which he may have known about given the fact that, they didn't have a plan in place, right? So I just feel like that seemed relatively notable given the rest of the stuff that we've looked at. But don't worry, we're not going to spend too much time on it because we have lots more to go. That's just like a throwaway point as we move now over to some Tyler Robinson stuff and some Lance Twiggs stuff, because of course, the big question that I still struggle with here is, who is this kid? Okay. Who is this kid? Because I do not believe under any circumstances that Charlie is going to let an innocent kid go do life in prison. I don't believe it at all. I don't think that would happen in a million years. Okay. So when I think about this, what are my options here? What are my options here? Okay. Now, what I can take for granted in my thought experiment is that someone with tremendous power in Utah is involved in this. Has to be. Like someone who could, I don't know, get the ground ripped up at Utah Valley University the day after the event. Hey, do you guys remember there was also a report, I remember this report, I don't think it was verified, but there was some kind of report that like Tyler Robinson's family was involved, like contracted for some of that. I'm actually seriously, I just remember that right now. Let's forget I even said that actually, because I haven't looked into it, but I will, just like I heard that, the cousin of They Shot Charlie is on Tyler Robinson's defense team. Unfortunately, someone, said that out loud, so I'm sure they're going to do whatever they have to do to make that not discoverable now. But nonetheless, right? Nonetheless, that was the moment when I heard that. I'm like, bottom line, if that's true, I'm done. Like I'm done with the official story. I'm not considering it anymore. It has to be something else. But again, that I have not verified. The Farnsworth on the wall. If anybody can verify that, actually, if anyone has a way to verify that Farnsworth, the guy who's on the wall, They Shot Charlie, if his cousin is actually, or someone who's related to him is actually on Tyler Robinson's defense team or was, I will be eternally grateful if you guys could find me that information and send it over to realjesseonfire@gmail.com. Okay, so we have established that there must be someone very, very powerful in Utah who is orchestrating this. And by the way, I don't want any problems with any of them, okay? I already said I am 100% on Charlie Kirk's side, 100%. Absolutely 100%, okay? If anyone wants me to not put this out, okay, and stop what I'm doing, all you have to do is just tell me, okay? And yes, I realize, like, it might indicate that, like, I'm right, but I'm telling you on my children, I will never, under any circumstances, strapped to a chair with nails in my fingernails, I will never reveal that to a single person. Never. I am doing something I believe to be good right now that should help you guys. I'm really trying to get other people who seem to not be able to put this together, who are constantly attacking you guys. I'm actually mostly doing this for them. Because once I put it together, I was like, oh my God, these people are going like, this is something much bigger, and they still think that Charlie got murdered. Okay, is my hypothesis. I don't know for sure. So anyway, powerful people in Utah, powerful enough to be able to get the ground ripped up. Okay, so I asked myself when I started thinking through this case, I'm like, so state. I'm like, okay, so they'd have to be that powerful in the state. I already. Well, Phil Lyman has to be involved. Okay. I don't really understand exactly who he was outside of a governor candidate who Charlie was, but we're doing investigations into Lyman, forthcoming. But here's something that falls right into place when I start thinking about Utah and whoever this must be at the top that is, helping orchestrate the Utah side. Did anybody find it a little bit suspect that Kash Patel just said, you know what, guys, it's a state prosecution. We're going to go ahead and not prosecute this one. Did anybody else find that absolutely shocking, where you're like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Why would we do this at the state level? In what's a bigger case that the FBI would take over than Charlie Kirk super close friend of the first family, super close friend of the president, super close friend of Don Jr., super close, best friend of JD Vance, super close friend of Kash Patel, the director of the FBI. Why would they not have, and also killed by leftist terrorists who, so, you know, like they greenlit them turning, you know, the ANTIFA into domestic organization that they can now look into and prosecute that way. If the result of this crime ends up having direct impact on federal law, then how is the prosecution of this guy sitting at the state level? How does that make sense? How on earth does that make sense? And also, how are these guys even moderately comfortable with the amount of problems there are with this story and the clear indication of how many other people would be involved? And they're just like, no, it's fine. He admitted it to his mommy. And he also wrote about it on Discord. So it's fine. Okay. Does that not rub everybody wrong? Why is the state why is a state prosecutor or a district attorney taking this case? It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Do you really believe that Donald Trump, you guys know, I mean, like, you understand his personality by now, I hope, right? Like, I don't care if you like him, dislike him, you know, neutral, whatever. Anybody who does not understand this aspect of his personality is emotionally brain dead. You really believe that Trump would allow the prosecution of someone who murdered his friend to fall to some state court in normal circumstances versus him being like, you make sure Cash is an extension of him. Cash is the director of the FBI. He's an extension of, you really believe that he wouldn't have gone, I want you to personally lead this, and I want to be kept apprised of everything that happens, and we together are going to make sure that that kid dies in the electric chair or whatever. It's Trump. Of course he would. Of course he would. Okay? Allegedly. So that's weird. And so I think to myself, maybe I should start looking again at the official story and see if there's anything that is weird about it, right? So here's the thing, right? When you go through the official story again, right? This is the official story. This kid somehow, who very much does not look like that guy at all in this kid actually looks much more like Lance Twiggs, as we've discussed. But nonetheless, this is how does this look? How is this, okay, according to the official story, how is this picture what led to the family going, oh my God, that's him for sure? Okay, that's super weird. The story was that in these pictures, he has a rifle on him somewhere. Where is the rifle? Where's the rifle? Right? A 30-06, huge rifle. Okay. Neither the barrel or the stock would fit in that backpack. Okay. Made absolutely no sense. And then it's a 30-06 that somehow is stopped by, you know, Charlie's Superman bones. Right? Absurd. And then we were gifted this conversation. And now, okay, now with our new hypothesis, we're going to go through this text message thread again. Okay. Again. Because now, for the first time, we have an actual reason to suspect that the feds would have been involved in creating this nonsense, or someone else. Like, now I have a genuine, specific reason that this would have been fabricated by someone else, okay, in my hypothesis. That this would absolutely not be authentic at all. This would be part of a narrative, and we're going to be looking at Lance in a second too. So we're going to read through this again, and you tell me if this seems more likely to be genuine between Tyler Robinson and Lance Twiggs, or something that's part of a large operation that is meant to put him in, and then that's it. Here's your guy, done deal. Here's all the evidence. We don't want people questioning it. We don't want people looking too hard at this, right? We don't want people looking too hard at this. And the funny thing too is, like, when people are talking about, like, oh, you know, why hasn't TPUSA sued Candace? They can't sue Candace. Why, Jesse Empire? You know exactly why. Because if Candace gets access to Discovery, you give her access to all their devices, all their communications, so she could fact check all of the things that she said on her show against a defamation. Okay. She's going to find this stuff, dude. You can't, they can't sue her unless they go through some kind, I mean, it can't be done. Okay, if I'm right. So, roommate, this is Lance Twiggs. What? You're joking, right? Robinson, I am still, and we're going to go through specifically why this is so absurd after this, because someone did an incredible breakdown. I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I got to grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you. Okay, right out of the gate. Right out of the gate. What are the odds that two 20 and 21-year-old lovers who live together are not like apprised of each other? Like, with what, like, you're going to go do this and you haven't even talked to your crazy, supposedly like completely batshit roommate. You haven't even talked to him about it. No, like, you guys never talked about it. You're just like, I'll just do this. I'm just going to do this on my own. Okay. And also, is this how people text message? I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. What the fuck? What are you talking about? And then you're just going to say all this stuff like over and over and over. Like, this is over explaining on a level that is absurd. Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? What? He said, shouldn't be long until I got to grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. And then you weren't the one who did it, right? What are you talking? He says, I'm sorry. I thought they caught the person. No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from the drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. Okay, first of all, what kind of harebrained idea is this? Like, you were going to drop your rifle off somewhere after you just murdered Charlie Kirk and then come back and get it? Brilliant, dude. Okay, absurd, stupid. And this whole thing, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle. Okay, like, maybe he's watching the news. I don't know, but this makes no sense. Roommate, why? Why did you do it? Why did I do it? Yeah, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully, they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Okay. Funny, right? Then, how long have you been planning this? A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. Okay. Again, so it was a secret he was going to take to his grave, right? He wasn't going to tell anyone. And because he's waiting a little while to go back and grab the rifle, he's going to make his lover an accomplice. That makes sense. And then he says, I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back my you guys, does anyone write text messages this long? Do you have any idea how long this text message would be if it was in a line on your phone? It would be this long on your phone. Okay. This is ludicrous. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I don't know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about Prince. Now, we're going to come back to that. That's very important. Okay. Very important. I worry about Prince. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find Prince. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? Remember how I was engraving bullets? Remember when I was signing this Antifa guy? Give me a break. Okay. And then the messages were mostly a big meme. If I see notices big bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to leave it. That really sucks. So what? So like, what the fuck are you talking? So like, I'm hoping hopefully you don't get it. And then it's like, okay, never mind. By the end of the time it took me to type this thing, I'm just going to leave it. Okay. Judging from today, I'd say my grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was 2K. That was a 2K scope. By the way, if these are real and he really did do this, I volunteer to drown him in a prison toilet for, if you guys want, like, I'm just saying, like, he gets a death penalty. I would do it if he really did do this. I'm just saying. Then he says, delete this exchange. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle and it is very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Hey, I have an idea, guys. You want to know how big of a giveaway that line is? Do you want to know how big of a giveaway that this is a fake conversation, allegedly, because of that line right there? Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. They're roommates, dude. They live together. You are such an extreme leftist that you killed Charlie Kirk, but your lover is unaware of your dad's political leanings towards MAGA. It's fucking ridiculous. This is written for numbskulls who have never had a conversation with another person. It's absurd. Absurd. Okay? Now, I would say, though, that if Tyler Robinson is on the inside of this thing and he has volunteered to play a very, very important role in this whole thing, you would expect him to be a really diehard MAGA kid, right? Like in real life, he would be a very diehard MAGA guy in real life. We'll get to that. Then he says, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. You are all I worry about, love. Roommate, I'm much more worried about you. Robinson, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. Wow. Now, let me, look at this. Let me just show you some of these. These are hilarious, dude. These are hilarious. ChatGPT, create a text conversation between a mentally unstable, okay, but watch this. Check this out. This person, brilliant explanation here. He said, let's strip this down surgically and look at the text itself. So number one, over-explaining instead of shorthand. Quote, I had planned to grab my rifle from the drop point after, but mostly on the blah, 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 that one. He says, why it feels staged. In a real panic, you'd type, can't get rifle, cops everywhere, car still there. Short clipped, rushed. This is long, explanatory, and cinematic. Reads like someone narrating a third-party audience, not confiding in a partner. Exactly. 2, odd repetition of the rifle. Facts. Grandpa's gun does just fine. My dad wants photos of the rifle. Grab my rifle still. Grab my rifle from my drop point. Left the rifle wrapped in a towel. He's exactly right. Why it feels staged. In natural speech, once you've established the gun, you don't keep repeating rifle with full descriptors. You'd say it or the gun. Here, rifle is hammered again and again and again like a keyword being planted. That's how scripts are written for clarity, not how people type under stress. Fact. 3, political breadcrumbing. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Exactly what I said. Yeah. Why it feels staged. Who inserts this in the middle of planning a surrender? That line is out of place. It's not information the partner needs in the moment. It is information meant to establish a profile for its readers later. Fact. Okay. 4, too neat on logistics. I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you. I plan to grab my rifle from the drop point. Why it feels staged. Real messages in crisis don't tie off motivations in clean narrative bows. They sprawl, they contradict. These are almost confession monologues. Tidy, quotable, perfect for screenshots. Incongruent partner responses. Roommate, you weren't the one who did it, right? Robinson, I am. I'm sorry. Why it feels staged. This is soap opera dialogue. If your partner suspected you murdered someone, the exchange would be jagged, chaotic, messy, not question answer with clean resolution. Instructional tone. Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. Why it feels staged. This reads like a how-to insert for the public, almost like advice embedded in the text. In real life, someone on the run wouldn't pause to deliver neat legal instructions in full sentences. They'd say, don't talk to cops, lawyers only. Yep. Emotional dissonance. You are all I worry about, my love. I'm much more worried about you. Why it feels staged. This sounds like melodramatic filler from a TV script, not the clipped urgency of someone hiding from law enforcement. The tone flips back and forth between romance and logistics unnaturally. I mean, he absolutely nailed that. Oh, by the way, the reason there's an edit is because I just realized that this was actually an AI assessment of this. But nonetheless, okay, that's even better. That just explains why it was so good. And if you guys recall, key point of the official story was that the father saw a picture of the rifle and he said, "Oh my gosh, that's my grandpa's rifle." And then he asked Tyler for pictures of the rifle. Okay. The problem is that this picture that went out into the New York Post, as the only place I could find it, was a stock photo and it was not the rifle. Okay. They said it was an old Mauser. So how did he have any idea what it looked like when the picture was never released? Okay. So that made no sense at all. Now, another interesting point that I wanted to show you guys is this. Okay. So let me make this a little bit better for you guys. Okay, but the rifle behind Charlie Kirk's killing may be untraceable relic from World War I. Okay. Now, the key here is this right here. Prosecutors and officials identified the gun as a Mauser 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle, a type originally manufactured in Germany for military use during both World Wars. It may predate U.S. laws enacted in 1968 following President John F. Kennedy's assassination, which required firearms to carry serial numbers or other identifying marks, making it harder for law enforcement to trace. Oh, wow. What an incredible coincidence. In this wildly public assassination, it just so happened to be a World War I or World War II Mauser that has no identifying serial number. It's untraceable. Well, that certainly closes the loop if you were trying to create a situation like this where they're like, well, so where'd the gun come from? Whose rifle is it? And there's a million people who can look up serial numbers and then trace them to different people. Well, this solves that problem. This is a World War I ghost gun for all intents and purposes. Convenient. Clearly the kid was not like smart. Okay, like he didn't do this because he's smart. He used his bare hands. Remember, he's worried about fingerprints, you know. Here's another question about the entire story. So he's smart enough to think of, oh my God, I hope they don't find fingerprints when he is waiting to go pick up a gun, but he's not smart enough to think of that before and then wear gloves. You know, like he's not handling the firearm when he's walking around. He needs to supposedly take the firearm out and assemble it, which means he could very easily take out rubber gloves or whatever gloves, latex gloves, as soon as he takes that out and then never touch it. You know, does that make sense? Okay. Does that make sense? 0 sense. 0 sense at all. And this, again, no serial number, extremely convenient. Extremely convenient. Okay. Now, here's another thing I wanted to show you guys, right? So this is reportedly a post from his mom about Tyler Robinson's brother. Okay. This is January 21st, 2021. Happy 16th to my whatever. He's a leather-working, gun-toting, cowboy-loving, brilliant kid. He has so many talents, and it's been so fun to watch them develop. Love you both. Okay, so this is not Tyler Robinson. This is his brother. Okay, this is his family that he comes from. He's a leather-working, gun-toting, cowboy-loving, brilliant kid. Again, have leftists warped the brain of kids like that before? Sure. But to go from that to a trans boyfriend, like leftist radical that's going to murder Charlie Kirk, pretty big leap. Especially when, if I'm right, and he was volunteered to play probably one of the most important role of this entire saga, he would have to be what? A true believer, a genuine true believer that believed that his part in this was a matter of good versus evil. This is a matter of evil people who are trying to destroy the world. And this was going to be a moment in time that was going to be the flashpoint that crushed the other side, which, if I'm right about my hypothesis, is exactly how Charlie would have presented this to everyone and probably exactly how he would have seen it, with the added bonus of him not having to think about going to prison ever again. And also, well, we've already talked about that. Okay. Now, last thing. So before we get into this, which is Lance's TikTok. Okay. Lance's TikTok. I noticed something about this today. Something very important. Something very, very important about Lance Twiggs' TikTok. Okay. We've never talked about this before. Now, one key point about Lance Twiggs and the reason he got back on everyone's radar is because last week there was a report that he had been spotted living somewhere in Texas, right? And I looked at the photograph of him and I was like, is that him? That's who they're saying is Lance? And I mean, just right out of the gate, it's not very important, but like, this is Lance, remember him? And then this is who they're saying is Lance now. I don't know. Is that the same person? I'm looking at the nose. I can't really tell. Like, I can't tell, man. I literally can't tell. Whoever this kid on the more rough looking one looks like he certainly is not taking his estrogen anymore. But I don't even know if that's the same person, okay? Because I'm not sure if this is even a real person in general, okay? I have no idea if this person is even real, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about right now. So this is his TikTok, okay? I've looked at this before, and what I never noticed before was right in front of me, and I am embarrassed. Watch this, okay? This is the totality of his TikTok, right? Now look at this. Okay, here's the first one, right? What do you got? Oh, comments are turned off. Okay, that's weird. Cool. What about this one? Okay, comments are here. Let's see. 914, 915, 916, 916, 915, 913, 914, 917. Okay, so not a single comment before Charlie Kirk's assassination. It was posted 8/14 of 21, supposedly, right? Zero comments before that. Okay. What about this one? Okay, so this one was posted January 19th of 2022. Let's see. None. Not a single comment. Not one comment before Charlie Kirk's assassination. So you're telling me that this kid who grew up in Utah, went to high school, knew people knew him, supposedly, he was a real person who definitely existed, right? Not a single comment on this post in however many years? None? Okay, I mean, there's got to be an example of someone interacting with him before Charlie Kirk gets killed, right? Oh my gosh, another one. Nothing but comments, not a single comment this is November of 2022. So again, let's also keep that in mind. You've got a post from look at these dates. This one's from 2019. Okay, he posts one time in 2019. Then he posts now it's in 2021. Okay, then you got 2022, right? Then you got now almost a year later at the end of 2022. Okay, then this one a year in the following month, and look at this, not one comment, none before Charlie gets killed. Okay, almost like this is a profile that was just fabricated, almost, right? Look at this one also in December of 2022, and nothing, not one. Believe me, I've looked at all these, not one comment, not one. Okay, look, now we're down at the bottom, 9/13, first one. Okay. You guys want to listen to him? You guys want to listen to this kid? See what he...
Cookie boxes, but here's the magic part. Watch this. There are actually cookies inside of here, and I've never seen that in my life. For Christmas, I got one of those cookie boxes, but here's the magic part. Watch this. There are actually cookies inside of here, and I've never seen that in my life.
Wow. It's a wonder that these kids weren't like the super cool kids in high school. Okay. Then this one is now 7 or 8 months later, and nothing but comments after September when Charlie gets killed. Not a single comment from before. We got 2 more. Let's see. Maybe we'll find one. This one, 7/20/2023. Not one comment before Charlie gets killed. I mean, this kid's out skating in these things. Like, he's out skateboarding. He's not like living in a hole. So, and how about Tyler? How about Tyler Robinson? How about Tyler Robinson, his boyfriend? Not one comment on a single one of his posts. Nothing, no interaction at all. None. He's following 227 people, right? Like he's following 227 people. And not one person that he followed or talked to or whatever, no one had ever commented, because here's the last one. Comments turned off on the last one. I don't know, man. This is really awesome. Like, whoa. Really awesome content, though. I'm shocked he didn't make it as a content creator with fire content like that. So what does that do for you? Your lead witness is a person who has been posting on social media since 2019 and never got a single comment on a single post, because that doesn't look fake. That doesn't look like it's made up. Are you starting to believe yet? Are you starting to believe? Because we're going to talk next episode about Fort Huachuca, because I am now going to start showing you that this thing is right in front of everyone. All of the clues that everyone is talking about are right there. It's just people are drawing the wrong conclusion. Okay. One thing I will leave everyone with before we wrap this one is this. The more people who are involved in this, especially the more people that Charlie was close to, the less likely it becomes that they are conspiring to murder him, and the way more likely it becomes that I'm right. Okay. This is not how murders happen, okay? People's best friends do not conspire with government agencies to kill their best friend and then literally go out in front of the entire world and completely lack any grief at all. That is not a thing that happens. It's never happened. It will never happen. It's not happening here. I don't think. All right, that's what I got for this episode. So stay tuned. There's a lot more coming.